Warnia was telling the truth. She really did think the new chairman of the Emgrand Group was impossible to figure out. Someone who can buy a company worth hundreds of billions of dollars on a whim without even showing their face. It's clear their business empire is much bigger than just the Emgrand Group. Compared to that, the Smith family seemed a lot smaller. But she had no idea that the chairman of the Emgrand Group, the very person she wanted to befriend, was sitting right next to her. Charlie, of course, played it cool. He casually agreed with her a few times, but didn't give anything away. Warnia's car moved quickly and smoothly. Soon, she pulled up to a small courtyard by the river. The courtyard was private and tasteful. It looked simple and unassuming from the outside, but the inside was like a different world. There were small bridges over flowing water, beautiful gardens, and a series of gazebos. After she parked, someone was there to greet them and lead them inside. They walked through the yard and into a grand hall. Inside the banquet hall, there was a large mahogany dining table surrounded by several plush executive chairs. When they walked in, a white-haired older gentleman stood up and greeted Warnia. "Miss, you've arrived." Warnia looked a little flustered. She nodded and said, "Mr. Landon, what are you doing here?" The old man smiled slightly. "I heard you were coming, so I came to help out." Warnia nodded and then introduced him to Charlie. "Mr. Landon is our Smith family's appraiser. The family sent him along because they were worried I might make a mistake." Charlie nodded. It made sense. She was young, so the Smith family was probably worried about her. Landon glanced at Charlie, a look of disdain on his face. "This is the appraiser you invited, miss? He's so young. Does he even know anything about appraising?" Next to him, a grim-faced middle-aged man sneered. "Bringing some kid to back you up? Is there no one left in the Smith family? I could lend you one of my appraisers, you know." Warnia's expression turned cold. "Lucas Finley, this is Orus Hill, not San Francisco. It's not your place to run your mouth here." Lucas shrugged, looking unbothered. "The Smith family girl has quite a temper." "All right," a middle-aged man sitting across the table frowned. "We're all here for business, not to argue. Let's all calm down." He then gestured to Charlie. "And you, young man, please, take a seat with us." Warnia huffed and slowly sat down. Charlie took a seat as well. She leaned in close to his ear and whispered, "The one who just spoke, Lucas Finley, he's the richest man in San Francisco. Next to him is Wyatt Gilmore, a very powerful holistic design master. The one who broke it up is Christian Knox, the head of the Knox family here in Orus Hill. Their family is one of the most powerful around." Charlie then noticed Lucas Finley was sitting next to an older man in a turquoise suit. The man had a full head of silver hair and an almost otherworldly air about him. He sat with his eyes closed, giving off an intense vibe that warned everyone to keep their distance. He hadn't even opened his eyes since they'd arrived. At that point, Warnia stopped talking. Charlie was curious, but he knew he couldn't ask any more questions. Once everyone was seated, a portly man in expensive clothes sitting across the table. "Now that the bickering is over, let's get down to business and see the item. We're all busy people from important families. No need to drag this out." Christian Knox snorted coldly. "If this thing really does what you claim, if it can improve the harmony of a space, bring a sense of calm, and help one focus, then I don't care about $1 billion. The man glanced at him before placing a simple wooden box on the table. Inside the box was a red jade that seemed to glow, cut in an old-fashioned style. The moment he took it out, everyone felt a warm energy fill the hall. Christian's eyes lit up immediately. Warnia turned to old Landon. "Mr. Landon, what do you make of this jade?" Landon stared at it for a moment and then nodded. "It looks right. It's a stone from before the Thompson period." You can tell right away that it was kept and cared for by a devout priest for a very long time. Warnia nodded, then turned to Charlie. What do you think, Mr. Charlie? Charlie smirked. It's a fake. Landon snorted and shot back. You're just a kid. Who gave you the right to make accusations like that in front of everyone? The old master, Wyatt Gilmore, sitting next to Lucas Finley, finally opened his eyes. He looked at the stone and asked, May I take a closer look? The man sneered. Mr. Gilmore, are you joking? You don't know jade? This isn't some ordinary stone you can just pass around. My piece is from ancient times. Wyatt looked taken aback for a second. My apologies. I spoke out of turn. With that, he leaned closer to the table and examined the item carefully. After a moment, he closed his eyes again. A long pause followed before he nodded and said, I can't say if this jade is ancient or not, but it does affect the interior design and calm the mind. The effect is genuine. As soon as he said that, a buzz of excitement went through the room. To them, the history of the jade didn't really matter. What was important was what it could do. Landon smiled and said, Mr. Gilmore is a man of good taste, unlike some who are all talk and no substance. Hearing this, Warnia couldn't help but feel a little disappointed in Charlie. It seemed he really was too young. Maybe he knew a thing or two about restoring historical artifacts, but when it came to appraising genuine antiques, he was clearly out of his league compared to these experienced men. Charlie just shook his head slightly when he saw this. If these people wanted to be fooled, he wasn't going to be the one to stop them. Seeing that everyone had finished their inspection, the man closed the box and said with a smile, All right, since the item has been appraised, gentlemen, is it time to talk numbers? Before he could even finish, Christian Knox jumped in. I'll offer $100 million. $130 million, Lucas Finley added. The man looked over at Warnia, who was still quiet. And Miss Smith? He asked. Seeing Warnia hesitate, Landon quickly leaned in and whispered, Miss, this is definitely a treasure. It's probably worth around $300 million. If you can get it for $200 million, you'll make a solid profit. Warnia felt a little conflicted. She glanced over at Charlie, but he just looked calm, not showing any emotion, which made her hesitate even more. Landon shot Charlie a cold look. He realized Warnia was holding back because of him. A moment ago, Mr. Charlie claimed this jade is a fake, he said loudly. I'd really like to know how he came to that conclusion. Let's all see what Mr. Charlie's methods are. If Charlie made a fool of himself, Warnia would know he was full of it and would feel confident enough to bid. Others around the table chimed in with scorn. What does a kid like him know? He's just embarrassing himself. Yeah, who is he to even speak here? If you're not going to buy it, don't waste our time. Listening to the jeers, Charlie just looked at Landon with an amused expression and asked calmly, Are you sure you want me to explain? Of course. Go on, say it. I'd love to see how you con artists usually pull off your tricks. Charlie shrugged. I wasn't going to expose your scam, but since you keep asking, I can't say no. A scam? Kid, are you saying we all missed it? Wyatt, who had been quiet until now, said with a sneer. Charlie glanced at him and shot back. You, in particular, are the most clueless one here. Kid, you're asking for it. Wyatt was furious. Charlie ignored him. The stone is a real jade, so I'll give you liars that much. Then he continued. But this stone isn't from the Thompson period, and it wasn't cared for by some devout priest. It's nothing more than a piece of Texas topaz. The quality is decent, so it has some value, but the price is $500,000 at most. That's garbage! Can't you see the stone is red? Landon scolded. Charlie continued. The red color comes from erosion by manganese ore containing submanganate. Did you really think it was soaked in the blood of some important priest? Then what about that warm energy we're all feeling? Christian frowned and asked eagerly. Charlie shook his head. That part's even less clever. There's a plant from Africa. Its root is ground into a powder and dissolved in water. If you soak this stone in that water for about half a year, you'll naturally get this effect. It's not warm energy. It's a psychedelic effect, and it's easy to get rid of. Just heat the stone with a flame. Kid! How dare you say such crazy things? Hearing this, the fat man slammed his hand on the table and stood up. Lucas's expression darkened. He looked at the man and said, "Why don't we test it with a little heat?" The man was sweating bullets. Test it? Why? This kid is obviously just making things up. Don't listen to his nonsense. Christian tapped his finger on the table. If you heat it and the effect is still there, I'll pay for it. But if the effect is gone, well, you know the consequences. Even though my Knox family has had some recent troubles, we don't let people walk all over us. Warnia also nodded. If Mr. Charlie is wrong, no harm done. A little heat won't damage the stone. But if Mr. Charlie is right, you'll have to give us an explanation today. The man suddenly broke out in a cold sweat. He couldn't risk offending any of those three. The whole setup was a scam cooked up by Landon to trick Warnia out of a lot of money, and they planned to split the profits. But out of nowhere, Charlie had shown up and ruined everything, exposing the whole trick in just a few words. The truth was, Charlie didn't actually know anything about Jade. The only reason he could see through the scam at a glance was because of the mystic knowledge he possessed. For some reason, the moment he saw the stone, the answers just appeared in his mind. It seemed that identifying antique artifacts was a skill taught in the mystic texts. Seeing that the man was silent, Charlie sneered. "What's the matter? Feeling guilty? Cat got your tongue?" The man's face went pale, but he didn't say a word about whether he'd agreed to the test.
Hey amazing viewers, it's Charlie here. Thanks for sticking with us. By the time of the release of this video, only 11% of our viewers have joined the party by subscribing, and 89% of you might miss out on our next mind-blowing video. So what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and join the exclusive club.